Let's head on over to meteorologist Thomas Patrick, who is tracking our forecast for us, because as we move on into the week, it looks like temperatures are going to continue to climb. Tom is going to get super hot.
Yeah, just going to get hotter and hotter. And I'll tell you, trucking through the week, especially between you, me, and Channing, all taking so much vacation time. Sometimes like 5-day work weeks are almost hard to come by, but exactly. Yeah, no, we are both here this week and trucking along on this Tuesday, where it is going to be a little bit warmer yet today, but tomorrow is when our heat advisories and excessive heat warnings kick in for the area, as our temperatures start to push those extreme levels and near record highs. Could see temperatures as hot as 106 degrees across central Washington later on in the week. Thankfully, it is still cool enough in the morning hours that we get to refresh ourselves first thing in the morning, especially if you are awake as of this hour. It is 62 degrees here in Spokane, still got 55 over Coeur d'Alene, and like yesterday, a couple spots still in the 40s, including out of St. Mary's and Deer Park. I love just pointing those out because it shows just what a big difference we can see temperature-wise first thing in the morning. However, now that we are past sunrise, a lot of these temperatures will moderate over the next couple hours, back into the 50s, 60s, and by the noon hour, looking at about 86 degrees and then into the 90s this afternoon. Probably just mid-90s today, but upper 90s, triple digits, 106. That's all in the works later on in the week, and we'll showcase just how long of a duration this next heat wave is going to last, coming up in a few minutes.
Idaho Governor Brad Little will be in Post Falls today for the groundbreaking ceremony of I-90 and the Highway 41 interchange. KREM 2's Malia Kamal joining us now live with the details about the expansion in North Idaho and what's expected to happen today. Good morning, Malia.
Good morning, Tim. Yes, I'm off of I-90 and Highway 41. And if you look right behind me, you can see construction equipment is already on site. And the ceremony is expected to start today around 3 p.m. Now, the project is being funded through the Transportation Expansion and Congestion Mitigation Program. And it's starting a year earlier than expected. Now, this is thanks to Little's Leading Idaho initiative. The Idaho Transportation Department says that Post Falls interchange is getting shifted from southeast to just north of I-90. Traffic will then be controlled by a single signal at the center of the interchange. The current signal at Ross Point Road and Saltese will be removed and replaced with a stop sign. Highway 41 will also be shifted west to connect to Saltese and Hairborn Place instead of Ross Point Road. Now, the redesign also lengthens I-90 westbound off-ramp so it no longer curves. Now, IDT says the project will improve safety, increase capacity, and provide a better connectivity between the state and Highway 41. And the construction project is expected to wrap up in 2025. In Post Falls, Malia Kamal, KREM 2 News.
And another traffic alert for you this morning. Expect delays on I-90 eastbound as WashDOT continues construction of the new Kramer Parkway undercrossing. Starting today at 7 p.m., the Green Acres on-ramp will be closed as crews begin work. If you need to use I-90 from Green Acres, you will be detoured to Barker and Harvard roads. The on-ramp will be closed until at least this Friday. Well, the sentencing for the Freeman High School shooter continues today. Nearly 5 years ago, he killed one classmate and seriously injured 3 freshman girls. His sentencing started last Thursday and is expected to wrap up this week. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley has followed this case closely since 2017. She shares highlights from the testimony yesterday and looks ahead to what's next.
We kicked off this week with testimony from the defense's expert, Dr. Craig Beaver. He's a psychologist who has evaluated the Freeman High School shooter since 2018. Now, he testified in court that much more could have been done to prevent the school shooting, but the adults in Caleb Sharp's life failed him. Dr. Beaver described the shooter's home life as isolating, saying he would cocoon himself in his room for long periods of time and suffered from depression. He also discussed the red flags that he found in a report from the gunman's school counselor made prior to the shooting, including he would obsessively watch videos about Columbine and had access to guns at home. Dr. Beaver says he doesn't understand why school staff and the shooter's parents didn't take diligent steps to ensure it was safe to return to school.
Dad called the principal and said, yeah, he's doing great, he's going to come back to school, and they go fine. There was no formal assessment report or letter that was reviewed. There was no safety plan put into effect to monitor him closely when he was back at school to make sure everything was safe.
We are expecting the family of the shooter to read their statements in court today. Reporting from the Spokane County Courthouse, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
New overnight, a 3-year agreement was reached for the Spokane Public Schools' upcoming school year. So here's the biggest changes that will affect everyone. There will be a weekly late start every Monday morning. So this time will be used for what's being called teacher collaboration. Employees will come in 15 minutes early to allow for an hour and 15 minutes for school planning. Then students will report to school an hour later than regularly scheduled every Monday. The first day of the school year is September 6th. The last day of the school year is June 16th. It is 6:07. Let's take a look at your morning rush. More news in less time. Jury selection began yesterday in the trial of a former Spokane police officer accused of raping 2 women. You may remember back in 2019, Nathan Nash was charged with rape and official misconduct. Then in 2021, he was charged with rape and unlawful imprisonment. Last year, a Spokane County judge ruled the 2 cases merge. Opening statements begin today. Now to the latest on the monkeypox outbreak. Governor Jay Inslee is calling on the State Department of Health to create a plan of action to address the outbreak. Inslee is asking the department to conduct public outreach, education, monitor case counts and demographic data. And there is a lot more to this plan, so you can read our full in-depth coverage right now on KREM.com. 2 people died after a trailer caught fire near Moses Lake. It happened at a RV park early Monday morning. Fire crews found a trailer fully engulfed in flames. After putting the fire out, they found bodies of 2 people inside the trailer. Investigators are trying to find out who the 2 people are and what caused the fire. That's a look at your morning rush. It has been 1 year since the U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan and the Taliban took over. The Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan triggered such an intense panic that thousands of Afghans stormed the Kabul airport to flee their country, and hundreds were killed trying to leave the country. In the last year, violence in the country has seen a decline, which is the first time in decades. However, the Taliban has put restrictions on women's freedom. They have been banned from working, going to school, and must follow religious rules. Meanwhile, exactly 1 year after the American military pulled out of Afghanistan, the French military has pulled its last troops from Mali. The French military has been fighting an insurgency in the West African country since 2013 after the government of Mali requested France's help in fighting Islamic extremists. France had about 5,000 troops stationed in the country, but cooperation with Mali ended after the president of Mali was ousted in a military coup. France will continue their operations in the region, but now they will be based out of the former French colony of Niger.